Hello, sir. Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Suhasini. My question to you is that earlier, just a few minutes before, you did speak about we comprehending a lot of hierarchical structures in terms of binary oppositions. You can define day by saying something that is not night. My only question is there a possibility for us to comprehend anything without this complexities of binary oppositions?
Well, is it possible? The question should be is should we not? The question I'll ask, right? Because it's not a yes or no answer. I think we also know the grays. See, the problem with the grays, and I have this issue with any kind of an intellectual position too, many times, right? Is that we're all uncomfortable with it, right? Which is why Twilight is never celebrated, no? There is a kind of a discomfort. It's uncertain, right? Is there complete light there? Can I see myself fully? Is it a happy place? So I think the point is how comfortable can we be? Actually, philosophical question is, can we be comfortable with being unsure is what we're actually asking. That's the in-between always. There is no definitive place you can be in the in-between. I think we should. It is effort. By the way, the problem is that is not something that is going to happen unless you make an effort. You have to actually take that step to do it, which is why it's difficult. Our education system doesn't allow to do it too. Like for what we study in school is right, wrong. It seems very clear, right? Our fundamental education, our homes, our conversations is always based on a binary. And therefore we're ingrained in the binary in terms of how we look at beauty, how we look at sound, how we listen to sound. So fundamentally we're incapable. We become incapable, right? So I think it's important that I really believe we should be a messy bundle. I'm okay if I'm wrong. I'm absolutely fine with being wrong. But can you be messy? Because then you're alive. If you're not messy, you're not alive. You're not active. We talk about nowadays innovation labs and creativity labs. How can you create an innovation lab in an absolute sanitized atmosphere where you just make colorful cushions everywhere? It's the most bizarre thing. You should be walking the street, truly walking the street. You should be able to receive what you're not trained to receive. You're incapable of receiving. So I think that's what we have to put ourselves through that. And that's the whole issue. Either we do it through our schoolings or we do it through our cultural organizations or as at homes. What are we doing with our children? Let's ask that question. We don't do that. I can give you all this gyan, but then when it comes to my child, she has to be safe. Am I not thinking that? I am, right? Knowing very well she's going to be safe. So fear is another big problem in this. You're scared, right? So it is not easy, but I think a lot of things tells us that that's where we should try and be. At least, we can't perpetually be there. Can we be there for some time and, imbue that in our everyday activity in some manner? And that's what we can hope for. And I think one of the problems, the reason why we're not able to, for example, counter a lot of what you would call binary violence that we are surrounded by today, is because we are also binary. While we point fingers, the fact is that you're also binary. So if you're binary and protectionist, forget about ethics out of this conversation, then how does one deal with that? How does one deal with that? Right? So, we have to be happy saying, I don't know. I truly don't know. Can we be happy saying that? I don't know.
So I have a question. So you were talking about education, and as I was going through your career and your education, I saw you were a student of KFI. So I have been interacting with KFIs. I went to different places. So
was it good or bad?
It was good.
Okay, now I'll answer your question.
Yeah. So I was also exposed. I started to read Krishnamurti and all. So I wanted to know how the thoughts of Krishnamurti or any other philosophers have inspired you as a musician and as a person, as an individual.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I studied in the Krishnamurti school sit down. I studied in the Krishnamurti school from 4th grade. I mean, of course, I have been greatly impacted, if not directly by his words, or I would say more by the environment he created. I mean, I think that's probably more important because it's not just him. He is dead and gone. I mean, it's about the people who were there at school when I was. They are my Krishnamurtis in many ways, right? It's not the man who wrote the book. So in a way, my school, the environment, even the trees that were there, and the things we could speak about, and how we viewed hierarchy of a teacher and a student, or the power between a teacher and a student. I think many things went unspoken. We did not discuss it, but I think that changed. You know, many people call that a bubble when we were in school. You live in a bubble. Your real world is outside, as if it's going to eat us. We're all told this nonsense. No. Actually, the real self is inside there. What is outside is an act. So if I get a glimpse of what the real self is, won't that help me to navigate the act that's outside? It's the inverse. People scared us saying, even now people will say, go to these Krishnamurti schools, you don't have no sense of reality. No, they actually got it wrong. You have a far better sense of yourself to deal with reality. If you're going to be always in this, whatever, convoluted space, you have no sense of yourself. Right? So I think it really helped me a lot. But I've also not been a non-critical viewer of Krishnamurti. I wrote a critique of Krishnamurti 2 years ago, which didn't go well with everybody who loves Krishnamurti, of course. But I did write a critique of him because I do think that, I think a critique is a celebration of a person, honestly. Otherwise, why would I write about somebody? You know, why would you bother? So I'm not saying that that's the ideal in some way. I think there are issues there that need to be thought about. But I think the fact of the matter is, this man did bring on the table a way of viewing our existence in a larger space in a manner that was quite profound. And that's definitely, and the fact that could be transferred to the way you teach or the way you create a school, I think that also means it was something that was real. It was not something airy-fairy in some, his language is very complicated. That's why I'm saying this, because people read him like, what the hell is this man saying? Yeah, I know that feeling. But I think the fact that it could be in a school, and it could be part of young conversations, means that it is something that is real, not something that's just there for intellectuals within quotes to feel proud that they understand.
A few months after the MS Subbalakshmi Award, would you like to look back at the entire issue, entire controversy? That's one. The second thing is, would you like or you don't like the claps from the audience during your performances?
Yes, second is what? Is it a statement or second is a statement, you don't like it, or what do you want me to say? No, I saw the don't like being a stronger mode of your statement. To your first question, I haven't responded till today to anything that transpired through 2024. I don't intend to respond to anything that transpired in 2024. But I'm going to say something else. The most important thing that I learned through the entire episode, because it went on for about a year. It was not a 2-week or 3-week happening. A lot of things. It was bundled by a lot of things. Is what I learned by just keeping quiet. I had never learned that in my life. It was not easy. It is not easy to keep quiet for 11 months. When something or the other is happening every day. I wouldn't say that I kept myself, I did keep myself from a lot of the toxicity because it was pointless, but it still comes to you. It's there in the air. I'll never forget, I went for a death. I'm not even joking, to a crematorium. And I entered the place where the body is placed. 50 people turned and looked at me. That's when I knew what it means to be a woman. I'm really saying this. That's the moment I realized, because a man, you never know it. 50 people turned. They all turned. They didn't say a word. Imagine where we are. We are in a crematorium. Somebody has died. But 50 people turned and looked at me. And at that moment, I was like, oops. And this has happened many times. But to keep quiet was really something that I learned a lot with. Not the power of silence. I'm not going to put into cliches. I think that I will write about that at some point. I don't think I'm yet there to write about it. What it means to just keep quiet and absorb whatever is going on and let it play out. I will write about it at some point of time. I think that's my only answer to you. I'm not going to answer your question directly. To your question whether I dislike applause. Applause is the dumbest thing we do. I'm sorry I sound very snooty when I say this. Because it's a habit. There are different kinds of applauses. Let me be a little more nuanced in my answer. There are applauses that happen because they happen at that moment. And you know that applause. We all feel it. But applause is also a habit. If I finish the song, why do you applaud? You don't ask yourself that question. And if you don't applaud, I'm upset. And because I'm upset, next song I'm going to do one more circus. So you applaud. I mean, it is such a banal way of existence, of art making. It's not even art. Sorry, it is not art. It's pleasurable. I will not deny the pleasure. I indulge in that pleasure too. So I'm not going to act like I don't indulge in that pleasure. Of course I do. But are we aware of what we're doing? We're not aware. We just applaud. I stand on a note for 30 seconds. Everybody thinks I've done something great. What's the big deal? You have better Bharathan rule. You do it for 40 seconds. What's the big deal? Nothing happened. But if you really felt those moments of staying in a note, which is not it's a very different kind of movement. You say one note, you think it's static. But it's moving, no? It's moving. It's the most magical thing. But if you really felt it, then you will just keep quiet. You will not applaud. You're applauding a skill set. That I had breath control. No. We're making art. We are not doing breathing exercises. But then why? So what are you actually receiving when you come to a concert hall, you go to see a cinema? What are you asking yourself that question? The burden is not just on the artist or the filmmaker or the singer. Burden is also on the receiver. You are responsible for your conscious engagement. We can draw you. But if you are not willing to be drawn, that's on you. Sorry. I will not take responsibility. But if it pisses me, I will tell you, please shut up. And that's when I say stop clapping sometimes. It's not an egotistic act. Some people, it does come out very egotistically. I know. It does. But it is not. It's actually disturbing. That's why I react. You have just killed something in that applause. You destroyed it. It's gone. And I'm like, oh my God, it's gone. I can't get it back. We've all lost it. Why would you want to lose it? So it's maybe comes out from why not just hold it? Just for that other few seconds, just hold on to it. No. We're going to then talk about nonsensical things 20 minutes later. But that moment, just hold on to it. Just stay there. You know why we don't? Goes back to that first question. It's uncomfortable. To stay in a moment of something profound happening is discomfort. Because that moment also reveals to you what you are. So the best way to run away from it is to break it. And you break it through an applause. That's what you do. I do too, not just you. It was not just you.
Sir, a few minutes back I asked you sir, can you speak Telugu? So you said koncham. So my
teacher was from Kuchipudi.
Oh, okay.
So I can, but I've lost the touch because he's no more. Till I went to his house, every time I had Telugu. No,
coming from a Telugu state, I heard that your family lineage have a Telugu roots. I heard.
Yeah, I'm sure we from Tirupati. We are from Tirupati, somewhere there.
I have this question, sir. Do you really know the meanings of all the Tyagaraja Kirtanas which are mostly in Telugu? Or is it necessary to know the meaning, or you can just sing because you have a practice or a
So
technique?
I'll ask you a counter question.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to a musician sing.
Okay.
You're deeply moved.
Mm.
Do you know 100% that the musician knew the meaning?
I don't think so.
You don't know. Right?
Yeah.
So when you hear a musician sing a Telugu composition, you know Telugu.
Yeah.
You know every word meaning.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% sure whether the person singing knew the meaning or not.
Yeah.
You can't be. You agree?
No, because I'm asking this question.
No.
Reason.
Okay, go on.
There are some singers who are not Telugu, but they sing some Telugu songs, but they sometimes
Make mistakes.
Mistakes.
That's okay. We all make mistakes. What's the way you're fussing over it? Come, I'll tell you. But I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
But my question to you is very important.
Yeah.
Say there's no lyrical mistake.
Okay.
That singer has sung.
Yeah.
So he's pronounced it correctly. All shabda is right.
Yeah.
Okay? So vak is right. Do you know whether the person knew the meaning or not? You don't know.
No.
How was there bhava there which touched you? Explain that to me. You know the meaning, so the meaning touched you.
Yeah.
Right. But the singer doesn't know meaning. So, what was the communication between you, the Rasika, and the singer at that moment?
Sound.
I'm asking you, don't ask me a question. The question to you, and that addresses your second question.
Okay.
So, does the artist need to know meaning or not is a question that I've answered to you now without saying a word. It's irrelevant.
Okay.
It's totally irrelevant.
So the
He
meaning
could.
is irrelevant.
I'm not saying they could not. See, one fundamental thing. Please sit down. No, I feel like I'm a teacher here. So sit down. Thanks. One fundamental thing you're forgetting. Why do we not think? See, I will not say. I have a kind of a nuanced position on language and meaning, which is a kind of a long story. I'm not going to tell you now, but I'll say one part of it. Why do you forget that language is a creation of sound? Language is sound. It's a combination of consonants and vowels, inflections, breath. Even language is on your face. I always say if you meet Palghat Brahmins, they'll come and say, aha, oh. Now this oh can mean so many things. I'll go after a consciousness. Oh, can mean something else. Not a word. These are what are called vocables in English. Okay, that they're just sounds. They don't have one meaning, but you understood meaning, no? And you gave a word to it, no? So fundamentally, why don't we think language is sound? If you think language is sound, then the sound has meaning. I mean, I listen to languages I don't understand and say, my God, why? It's just a combination of something that gave me meaning. So I'm saying there is meaning beyond the semantic. In fact, it's the meaning beyond the semantic that gives the semantic meaning. Which is why singing a word is different from speaking a word. A spoken word is different from a poetic word. It's the same word. But the meaning is changing not because of the word. It's because of the sound of the word. What comes before the sound in a poem determines the meaning of that word in a poem. What comes after the sound itself is influencing. So if you are allowing for that fluidity in meaning, then your answer is complicated.
Okay.
It is irrelevant, could be relevant. Right? So there's a longer story to how I look at meaning. Okay. I'm not saying, I started in if you ask me this question, say 13 years ago, my position was entirely abstract. Entirely abstract. I didn't care a damn about semantics. As far as at least the music I sing, okay? Not generic. Because I believe the music I sing is a sonic body and sound, right? So, but then I've taken a slightly more nuanced position on it because I believe there needs to be a conversation about it and fluidity in that meaning to be able to move to anything abstract. My position then, I would say, was a bit absolutist, if you can use that word, which does not engage in a conversation. Now I've moved it a bit because I think I'm engaging with meaning to push you beyond meaning. I have to engage with meaning to push you beyond meaning. I can't say there is more meaning, figure it out. I can't say that. That would be my very complicated, not clear answer.
Namaste, sir.
Hey. No, I said hello to somebody.
Okay, sorry, sir. I have two small questions. Sorry. We believe that music is something we can get it as a knowledge and we hear it for entertainment also. We accept that. So somebody is saying, I don't quote the name, they're saying instrumental music is only for the entertainment. It is not for knowledge or something. What's your opinion?
You want me to be kind or unkind?
Please.
Just stupid. How can you ever say that? How can you ever say that instrumental music is only entertainment? There are people who get knowledge from instrumental music. I mean, who am I to judge it? Who am I? I think this is just a very closed, unacceptable opinion for me. And I'm taking a binary position, by the way.
Second.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense to me to say that there's only knowledge if there's text, which is what they're saying actually, because their entry point is only understanding a word. I don't agree.
Okay, so second one is in Carnatic actually. We want to sing some kruti and it is too long, like something else. If we cut some paras for singing neatly, or we have little time, if you want to render that, if we cut that, it is acceptable.
We already cut, by the way. You think we don't cut, we cut. But if I cut, it's acceptable. If you cut, it's not acceptable. Just remember, I can do, you can't do. That's the game. No, but it depends on what you cut. To be honest, jokes apart, there is a compositional form, right? And there is some unity in the form, right? So if you look at it, I use the word art object, because that for me is a far more impersonal way of looking at it. And impersonal in the sense of lack of subjectivity there. So which I like that. I don't want to be subjective. So you're creating an art object. A kirtana is an art object. And it's a new art object every time it is rendered, right? So there is certain form to it. There is a pallavi, there is an anupallavi, there is a charana. You can't break this form. But there are many charanas sometimes that you can edit. No problem. In my opinion, no problem. Somebody may come and say it is wrong also. I don't think it is, because I'll tell you, there is a good argument to make why you should sing all. There's a good argument to make. I will not refute this not. But there's also argument to make that you don't need to. Both work. It's ultimately your choice. I don't have a hard and fast rule. Of course, today's, you can say time, you have only so many minutes. You can say that's also a fair argument. I mean, right? Who will say that is wrong? So it is permissible in certain parts. Depends on what you want to edit. You can't edit certain things. You just cannot. Charanas, I will say, fine. I mean, I'm not so passionate about you singing 7 charanas. No. Yes, there's somebody here. I'll come. Yes.
Sorry, I'm sitting down. Just wanting to ask you, Krishna, about you are taking Carnatic music out of the temple of where it is performed to, removing it from its exclusivity and getting it into the lay public domain and breaking the caste domains. Just wanting to know, how much does folk music and the other music enter into the world of Carnatic music? And is that a
when you say
dissonance?
enter of Carnatic music, you're talking about spatially, right?
Spatially as well as, collaboratively.
Okay, got it. First, if you don't mind me, I don't want to, this taking it somewhere kind of bothers me somehow. It does something to me when you say it. You didn't mean it that way, I know, but I just want to respond to it because in my brain, I feel very uncomfortable saying I'm taking something somewhere. It just feels, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's that feeling. I'm not taking anything anywhere. I am actually freeing myself. It's a very selfish act. It is actually there is a great amount of selfishness there, and I'll say it. I'm freeing myself. So in the process of freeing myself, I'm sitting under a tree. That's all. And I actually think it's the graciousness of the larger world to accept me. Now, whether it is making a change or not is for future and history to decide, not for me to decide. Maybe I'm doing so many things wrong. Maybe I could do some things better. All accepted. I think your point is very important, is that I realized very soon early that this cannot be a one-way traffic. And if it's a one-way traffic, it's this taking. Then this taking thing happens. No, it has to be a complicated conversation. So one of the things we did in many of our initiatives, we said it's a two-way traffic. So we use what we could call, within quotes, the classical spaces, where we conducted festivals where sounds that will never be heard in that space was being heard. We invaded some other territory. Right? We created complex conversations there which will not happen there. So it is important that there is a mingling in not just two but multi directions. They sometimes work, they sometimes don't work. There's so many things going to happen. So space is a very important way in which we limit things. And the thing about space is it talks. You don't need to say anything. You see a space, You know whether you want to go in there or not. And the analogy I always use is going to IIT Madras or IITs. It's like, I don't ever want to be a science guy. But even if I enter IIT, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to IIT. What? I mean, I have nothing to do with that place. This, the space has defined it, no? So that's how you define different spaces. So you need a pushback on spatial limitations. At the same time, whether spaces that are not part of, shall we say, privilege, the people who inhabit that space must be able to welcome you. You can't be forcing something on something. So there has to be a very complicated conversation. There has to be a very uncomfortable conversation happening. And also in terms of collaborations, I have tried a few. I like to call them as conversations. Because they are not there to say, oh, we are all the same, we are hugging and kissing. No, there are different sounds, we are different people. But can we find, certain things we are common, certain things will sit apart. But can we sit together and do all that? That's how I have tried to conceive of the collaborations that I've done, right? Where we can create that idea that, it is not very comfortable. I'm still struggling. We are not equal. But there are still blind spots. And I use this one anecdote to show how the blind spots will always remain. So we've been doing this collaboration with the Jogopas for many years now. Jogopas are trans people inhabiting basically Karnataka, Maharashtra, also Telangana region. But many of them speak Marathi and speak Kannada. So I had done this for many years, and I remember this young man came to interview me. I was sitting in Manipal writing my book. I was a residency. So he said, one afternoon, can I come and talk to you? I said, yeah, of course, come and talk to me. And we were having this chat, and he asked me one question which never struck me. He said, can I just ask you one question? I said, yeah, sure. He said, why do you always sit in the center doing those performances? Never struck me. I was like, oh. It was accepted by me. It was already obviously accepted by Siddhama and the Jogopas. They presumed that I should sit in the beginning. Right? So I tried changing it next. You know how much I had to fight for it with all my colleagues, saying no way. So I'm saying even small things. This may seem small, but I think they're very important. So it's ongoing. You can't always get to an answer and say you have solved it. You can't. You're going to constantly do it. But I think it's important. That's multi-directional, both aesthetically, physically, in terms of who the people are, and it is. Honestly, you just do the best you can and remain as conscious as you can, and you listen when somebody says that, you need to think about this. You try and listen. That's all. You try and listen, because your ego is going to not allow you to do it, but you should keep trying.
Actually, my question was triggered by the previous question when we were talking about deviating from the formats. Like, I was thinking about starting Moksha Mugalada from Sakshatkara.
Oh, your technical question.
No, that often happens, and
that has history. That's why it happens. The reason why in Kirtanas people start with Anupallavi, there's a history to it. It came most likely from the Harikatha tradition. In Harikatha, if you notice, they want to sing upper octave most of the time for attraction. Right? So the Anupalli is generally a Tyagaraja Kirtana is upper octave. So that's where that and Namasankirtana, both in Namasankirtana and Harikatha, they start from Anupalli because you can start with a bang. Right? For example, Bala Kanakamaya is not the Pallavi of the song. Yelani Deradu is the actual Pallavi of the song. But we all sing Bala Kanakamaya Chela, right? Because it is Anupalvi and Harikatha or Namasankirtana. Bala Kanakamaya Chela. It has like somebody is walking and coming in, right? So a lot of it is also drama. And Harikatha, you need drama. You're telling a story. So there is something to it.
I may not be able to frame the question in English. Could you translate for me in English?
You're speaking in?
I'm speaking in English, but yeah.
No, but you want to speak in what language?
Tamil.
பேசுங்க தமிழ்ல பேசி இவ்வளவு கஷ்டப்படுறீங்களா? எனக்கு புரியுங்க.
இப்போ பொது இடத்துல கான்சர்ட் நடக்கிறதுக்கும் ஒரு கன்ஃபைன்ட் ஸ்பேஸ் ஆடிட்டோரியம்ல நடக்கிற கான்சர்ட் நடக்கிறதுக்கும் டிஃபரன்ஸ் இருக்கு. ஸோ இந்த இடத்துல வந்து அந்த கான்சென்ட்ரேஷன் எனக்கு இருக்கு. I'm able to concentrate to what you're speaking and everything. But in the auditorium, there could be certain disturbances, like a person walking by or the phone call or anything. அந்த மாதிரி நேரத்தில் நீங்கள் இதை எப்படி பார்க்குறீங்க? ஒரு கன்ஃபைன் ஸ்பேஸில் நடக்கிற கான்சர்ட்டுக்கும் ஒரு பொது இடத்துல நடக்கிற கான்சர்ட்டுக்கும். ஏன்னா அந்த இங்கேயும் அந்த டிஸ்டர்பன்ஸ் இருக்கும். நிறைய பேர் வருவாங்க போவாங்க பேசுவாங்க இதெல்லாம் இருக்கும். ஆனால் அங்கே பேசுறது கொஞ்சம் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்டடாக இருக்கும், ஒரு சடன் டிஸ்கம்ஃபர்ட்டாக இருக்கும். ஸோ ஹவு டு யூ see this?
Your question is not about music. It's about, I think it's a very important question, but forget about the concert hall. I think the question is actually about the notion of public space. If you think of it, why is public space something we should treasure? It's exactly for the reasons that you pointed out. That in public space, the variety of things that will happen intellectually, emotionally, in terms of characters, people, right, or what is around, is so dynamic that your brain is tuning itself in very different ways to receive, if you're willing to be there in the moment there, right? And therefore this whole notion of exclusivity does not even come to your head. Or very interestingly, you also see yourself as part of a community, and it's an undefined community. You can't define that community. You can't define that community by caste. You can't define that community by gender. You're on a road. Just imagine you're on a road. Autos, all things going on. You're just walking down. There's a fruit seller. There is, if you, at that moment, if you're alive to the moment, you very interestingly become part of a cluster of things. Which is why when art happens in the cluster of things, it's a very different experience. It's part of the cluster. It is talking. When I sing in public, my music is also talking to all this. Right? Now, in an auditorium, everything is framed very differently. Right? There may be certain reasons why that will work. That's also possible. But I'm just saying on public and private space. Now, in a private space, the reason why you hear a person walking out is here you're saying you have to behave in a certain manner. And it is not wrong because, for example, everything gets heightened. If somebody talks in a private space, I hear it louder. It's also true. I mean, I have been notorious on stage. I can hear that. None of you heard it. I heard a clicking. Every time she clicked, I could hear it. If this happened in a private space, I would have glared at her. Sorry, not you, don't worry. Because I will hear it louder. My attention will be distracted. So, how does your mind concentrate in a public space vis-a-vis your mind concentrate in a private space are very different things. Right? So, the question is then a flipped question. How should I create a private space which has the energy of a public space? Now, that's an interesting question. Because I won't say private spaces are all corrupt. No. Sometimes you need silence. Let's be very clear. Sometimes you need quiet. You're watching an outdoor film, you don't want full noise everywhere. You need to be able to completely be drawn into something. And your sensory perceptions overwhelmed by what you're drawn. As a musician, I also sometimes need that from you. But the question is a different question. How can that space not be an exclusive space? But how can that be a participatory space, but a different kind of a participation that imbues the public, which is why I like the Tamil word porambokku. If we can live as porambokkus, this binary of a public and a private space will be demolished. So it's more in us, I think. Thank you.